Good morning to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. I'm in Dallas, Texas, getting ready to fly home and get ready for the next round, which is going to be quite severe. Literally, we're going to have severe weather, severe cold, more blizzard conditions coming up, all kinds of problems over the next week to 10 days. Hopefully after that, we will get a respite from this. Everybody that was wanting winter, are you happy now? Because winter is, well, the worst of winter is coming. You'll see. Let's talk about that with this next round of severe winter weather. That's a good way to put it. We're going to start here. We're going to have a lot of tweets. This one from our good friend Ben Knoll, and he's talking about next level extreme cold headed for the U.S., and that is no joke. All this area here that he has highlighted in this bluish color, blue, purple, whatever it is, that's below zero at some point over the next 10 days. That's a lot of people. And I know that these areas are expected to see it once in a while. It's not unprecedented, but it is still going to be very impactful and, disrupt daily life, that kind of thing, dangerous. And then on the warm side of it, down in this area, warm side for now, we're going to have severe weather to deal with. All right? So that's a really good thematic map that sort of sets the tone for all this. That's a lot of people that are going to be below zero over the next 10 days. Next, Alex here, trusted individual that works with the Weather Prediction Center. I believe that's where he works. Certainly with the National Weather Service. First truly significant Arctic outbreak will begin this weekend, he says, and continue pushing south and east early next week. Sub-zero wind chills. And I mean, those are going to be some serious cold wind chills. You folks that are going to be at some of these football games on Sunday, east of the Rockies, yikes, it's not looking good. The exceptions, Rhode Island will be pretty good. Hey, our Quick Dam partner up there, they'll be okay. Delaware, it helps to be the ocean state, right? That's exactly probably how that's working out. Delaware, Florida, and Hawaii. Yay, let's all go to Hawaii. So here's the infographic. Bitter cold surges, dangerously cold wind chills, heavy snow in the west Friday and Saturday. Southern northeast, right, the southern areas, northeast snow early next week. That's a little hint right there. If I get my highlighter. There's another one coming next week we're going to have to talk about. But then Monday, Tuesday, a potential system. That's what they're hinting at there. So a very, very active pattern. This is going to include, like I said, severe weather in the southeast and vicinity. Lake effect already going on now up around the Great Lakes here, but even more is coming. In fact, all of the lakes are going to be in play because there's very little ice cover. Dense cold air is going to move across. The pattern's going to set up for some serious lake effect snows. But before we get to that, just look at the patchwork here again of everything. All these watches and warnings. The reds are blizzards, the browns wind advisories. Just a lot of problems here as winter and the pattern overall has definitely gripped the country. Pretty much all of the lower 48, a couple of exceptions, but pretty much everybody getting in on the action here at one time or another. Satellite imagery, not a bad day overall. Again, I'm over here in the Dallas area, somewhere in there. Be flying home later today with the gentleman that helped me, and should have decent weather. We're going to get out of here before the severe weather sets up in this area today, which is fine with me, because I don't do turbulence. That's just not fun. So not a bad day today overall, but boy, things are going to change later today into tonight, and then the next few days, it's just going to all cascade into the toilet, as they say. So here's what that looks like. This is the GFS, and I guess we're getting the first frames of the 12Z. This goes out to 48 hours. We're not going to sit here and wait for these to populate. So let's go back to the 6Z, which will go out to full 2 weeks. Just pay attention, first of all, this area for today, and then eventually up here where we're going to get a significant blizzard basically setting up, and that'll include parts of Illinois and Indiana as well. And then watch what happens over here. We've got some lake effect now. That's nothing compared to what's coming. So here's the 6Z GFS. Run it out. Look what happens. First you get this, and this is just the GFS. This doesn't show what the convectively allowing models would, and that is the severe weather high resolution potential that those models like the HUR or 3 kilometer NAM might show. But this tells me active pattern, very heavy rain, and what's causing that? Probably a line of severe thunderstorms. We'll get to that in just a minute. But you see the pattern, it unloads here, 971 pressure, potentially record-setting pressures in parts of the lakes region, and all those isobars, those little black lines that you see packed in there, big-time wind machine, travel going to be a nightmare, Chicago, O'Hare, Midway, oh man, it's just going to be brutal, affecting the travel industry. And then another storm system coming into the west, we don't want to leave them out, Intermountain West, snows, rain at the lower elevations, heavy snow in the Sierra. We saw the avalanche problems they had out there yesterday. That storm system comes through finally by early Monday, and maybe if the pattern doesn't get suppressed too much, we pop a significant nor'easter up the East Coast, and if it can be placed better, depending on how you look at it, we could see some substantial snows through this area. Could. We'll have to watch that. That's still more than 5 days away. But that's what they are referring to in this previous graphic, wherever it went. I guess I killed it. No, there it is. The Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. That is what we're starting to see here. Tuesday, Wednesday, there you go. We'll have to watch this next one. But first, we got this guy, and we got to be ready for it, because today, enhanced risk down in parts of extreme southeast Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas, the northwest chunk of Louisiana, the northeast chunk, the Arklatex region. That's what I just should have said, right? Tornado threat substantial. It is 10%. That's not, I mean, really, you have to pay attention. We don't know where they're going to form. I saw a few people hemming and hawing about the last event, that it was overhyped, nothing happened. And then we had a couple of pretty violent tornadoes. Again, we had about 6 people. My table's trying to move on me. 6 people, if I remember the info correctly, that lost their lives, unfortunately. You don't have to have an April 27th, 2011 outbreak. I mean, this idea that if it doesn't perform spectacularly and there's mass death and destruction, that the forecasts were overhyped, it's just annoying. But hey, to each their own. My job is to make sure people, and other people that do this, of course, across the social media, news outlets, you name it, we just want to make sure you're aware, because there's a lot going on in our daily lives. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of shiny things to look at. We want you to be looking at this shiny thing today, and especially into tonight. And I'll explain what I mean by that as we go back over to the GFS tab, the Tropical Tidbits tab. We're going to look at the high resolution model in just a minute. The wind threat, obviously straight line winds, downbursts could be big, and the hail threat is fairly substantial as well, considering, again, this is January the 11th that we're seeing this, all right? So that's the outlook for today. For tomorrow, a much larger area in the southeast U.S. This one I am more worried about overall. First, it's a larger geographic area. The tornado threat also substantial, and it's just a different type of setup that could give us the potential of some pretty long track significant tornadoes. The wind, the hail also problematic potentially for tomorrow. So today and tomorrow here in the deep south, we really have to be paying attention, all right? Focus on the weather, talk about it, share it, make sure people know what's up, tell them, and hopefully we can get out of this without more loss of life. So back to Alex real quick before I go to the GFS and switch it over to the HUR. This is really substantial that the models are showing the potential for all-time record low pressure with the Great Lakes storm on Friday. So that's up there. It's not all-time for like the U.S. That would be hurricanes that do that. But for the Great Lakes region, the potential for all-time low pressure, and that just gives you these dynamics overall in the warm sector to give you this severe weather. Extreme weather leads to extreme events, right? The extreme pattern leads to extreme outcomes. That's what we are starting to see more and more as this overall pattern has set up. Now let's go back over here to the Tropical Tidbits. We'll look at the mesoscale, and this is the high resolution rapid refresh, and it did its thing a few hours ago because it updates every hour. I say its thing I mean it rendered out the 12Z. So let's zoom in over here to, yes, this will cover it, the southeastern U.S. So this is a high-resolution model, a convectively allowing model, and basically this will really help us to understand the thunderstorms or the convection. So let's move this out. So we start with the model being valid at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's just go through. There's 2 p.m., 3, 4, 5, 6 p.m. tonight, so 5 Central. So 6 p.m. tonight Eastern, 7 p.m., 8, 9, 10. 10 o'clock tonight, 9 Central, the thunderstorms start to develop here in Arkansas. So another nighttime event. That's what bothers me, all right? So you get on later, 11 to midnight. There's that severe weather that comes in. And then even overnight, just before, a couple hours before dawn, this is what I'm saying. You folks, and this is kind of weird because it's going to be overnight. So technically it's going to be the 12th. So I'm not really sure how the SPC parsed that out. That's not going to happen on the 11th. It's going to happen on the 12th. But whatever. They're lumping it all in together. I'm not sure how that worked. But nothing's going to happen during the day today in that enhanced risk area of Arkansas, the Arklatex region. It's going to be overnight tonight and then way in the wee hours of the morning. And hopefully the news stations out there are hammering that point. And the Weather Service is probably talking about it as well in their forecast discussions. So for those of you that are watching me and other sources, they're pointing this out too, presumably. You got to make sure people understand this. It's not even sunrise yet. This right here is 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Central. Storms are going to be roaming out there. People are going to be getting up, getting ready for work, school, whatever. Not a good setup. The storms continue into Friday. This is Friday afternoon. And not a strong signal. There's a few of these isolateds in here that have that look, kind of like we saw a couple days ago with those that came off the ocean here. And they did produce tornadoes in eastern North Carolina. They certainly did. And then one in Catawba County, I think it was, that killed somebody. So we got to pay attention to this. We got to see what the models are showing. 34 hours out is a long time for a high-resolution model. So let's check back with this tomorrow and see what it starts to say, render. But not a strong signal for massive severe weather, but enough. So that's why the enhanced risk is there. All right? So that's what this highlights. That's why these are up. Again, this is today. This will be overnight tonight. And then this, of course, will be tomorrow. All right, moving on along, just to emphasize it more, here is a nice infographic. You can find this. You can follow the Storm Prediction Center over on Twitter and elsewhere. They do great work, obviously. And just make sure people are aware of this, okay? I got to keep you safe. The other aspect to this, lake effect snow. I like this account here, Buffalo Weather, and they know what to look for up there, and why not, right? This is what they deal with. In fact, the gentleman that's helping me, Scott, he's from Buffalo, so he knows it. We've been talking about it a lot. So here, Buffalo Weather saying it's looking increasingly likely that a strong band of lake effect snow will be near or over Orchard Park. Why does that matter? Well, there just happens to be a game there, Sunday. And the winds will be gusting over 40, creating whiteout conditions wherever the band sets up. And these lake bands are narrow. They're long, but they're narrow overall. So, the gradient of heavy snow is extreme. High temperature about 21, that's the high. With all that wind, travel to and from the stadium there in Orchard Park is going to be a real headache. And you can see that band showing up right here off of Ontario. There's one. This is the one off of Erie with Buffalo and vicinity right there. I'm going up there for this. Probably won't be in the Buffalo area. I don't want to get stuck there. I want to be up near the Tug Hill region on 81 corridor. And it's easier for me to get there than it is to Buffalo. Wilmington to Buffalo driving, it's just very difficult. And I'm going to be getting home tonight and then turning around and driving tomorrow. So I got to try to make it as easy as I can because safety, of course, is an issue. So I'm going to go up there and I'm going to be ready for the Sunday lake effect machine in the Tug Hill region. And if you guys know weather, you know what I'm talking about up there if you know that region. And we'll talk about that more in an update tomorrow. But the lake effect machine is going to crank up. The lakes are mostly unfrozen. This will potentially be a very high impact event. So I know you're used to it up there, folks, but, you know, sometimes it can still come up and bite you if you're not paying attention. As we start to wrap things up, yes, we're going to talk about hurricane season eventually, but this current severe weather setup with all the wintry stuff and whatnot takes precedence. HurricaneTrack off season, but we will be paying attention to this. Climate Prediction Center just put this out today. El Nino will be on its way out, almost a certainty in terms of how we look at everything. It's already happening. We're already seeing the changes now. We will lose the El Nino pretty quickly. And then the possibility of La Nina, and this is really important, at the height of hurricane season, August, September, October, now above 60%. So we should at least be in cool neutral, if not La Nina, by the time we get to peak hurricane season. And we're going to need to be addressing this more in the coming months. But just for now, a little teaser at what is coming. We'll be paying attention to that more. Hey, if you're new to watching my videos, please consider subscribing. It costs you nothing, of course, and you get alerted if you hit the notification deal as to when we put up videos or we're streaming live. And I encourage you to share. I'd love for more people to see what we're doing here. I'm excited about our project because we do get out in the field. We not only bring the weather to you this way and make sure you're aware of it, but we take you there whenever possible. Had the slogan of "You track it, we take you there" for a long, long time. Hurricanes might be my forte, but our whole team, our whole crowdfunding group at Patreon, and all the people that we're involved with have encouraged me to cover other weather over the years, about the last 8 years, and it has really ramped up these last couple of years, especially with my work with Fox Weather allowing me to do even more with them, and I'm just proud to do it. So if you can share our work, you know, it helps it to all grow, and more people can see what we're doing. All right, so get ready for the next round. Be safe out there, too, because without you watching, if you're not here because the weather got you, that makes me sad. It really does. So please stay safe, all right? From all of us at HurricaneTrack, we appreciate you tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll have another video for you tomorrow before I hit the road again.